adjust that a little bit. Good morning, everyone. Tom Kaczynski here from Free Atlantic Radio. I got this a little too close to my face. We'll adjust it. But the wife's sleeping, so I'm not trying to make too much noise. And I figured better this than going outside and freezing. I didn't want to do a long video this morning, but I did want to comment on one thing. I actually just finished recording tomorrow's episode, and it's a doozy. We're going to talk about civil unrest and whatnot, and then I'll get back to digital currency. But I wanted to share just a couple quick thoughts with you about the NBA specifically, because the NBA canceled a bunch of their games. Good morning, Sam, and good morning to everyone who's here, by the way. Thank you for tuning in. One of the things that was really interesting to me was that the NBA canceled their games, and they'll probably cancel their whole season, or their playoffs, and ultimately this idea that you see celebrities trying to leverage their status to go ahead and signal in certain ways is interesting. I find it richly ironic that people who make millions of dollars off the existing system, who serve basically as an escape valve for entertainment and distraction, are serving to further exacerbate the tensions. And honestly, if people don't have anywhere to escape, they're going to start snapping, and it will probably lead to more of the violence that we've seen in Kenosha and other places. But I think that's part of the plan too, that ultimately what we are seeing is that if society exists in a corrupt time based on bread and circuses, not only is the bread getting short, but the circuses are getting a little scant too. And that's what we're dealing with more and more, that your distractions are being taken away from you, because ultimately the goal here is destabilization. And that's what this woke NBA, WNBA, NBA thing comes down to. We've seen over and over again in the corporate world, the old saying is get woke, go broke. You see this happening with the Star Wars movies, which have been office flops, and this idea that entertainment does not care if it makes or loses money. Why? Because the people who are funding it ultimately are using it to propagandize and indoctrinate you, and they don't really care what you want. I mean, there are still people out there, but you look at all the businesses that go down, and you look at all these sports leagues and all these things, and I guess I put this together because I know a lot of friends who I talk to care about sports. I personally do not care overly much, I'll admit that, because to me it's a distraction, and I actually think it's probably a good thing that people are aware, but you're not going to be permitted your distractions, and that's why I'm doing this video for this morning, because I want you to understand that you're not going to be allowed to focus on things that matter, like the little potatoes I made. Aren't these cute? Adirondack blues. But ultimately, you're going to be forced into doing whatever you're told, or if you don't do it and you don't give the mob what they want, you're going to deal with tantrums until they go ahead and they're not going to give you what you want. And that's fine. People have a right to do that. We live in an age of adult infantilism, and there are no bigger babies in this world than celebrities, whether they be professional athletes or whether they be people out there, in the movie or music worlds who make millions of dollars and talk about victimhood. I mean, let them work a real man's jobs and, get some sweat off their brow where you're not getting paid $10,000 a droplet, But they don't care and they don't understand, because it doesn't occur to them, because they live in a bubble where they're taught they're a victim and they believe their own BS. And that's the reality of what we live in today. And that's honestly the bubble that you have to permeate, that you have the religion of universal victimhood that goes out there where even the wealthiest of people can be a victim if they just have the right identity. So whether that makes you a transgender, progressive, non-binary, whatever, or whether it makes you, a suffering black man who makes 7 or 8 figures, every day to throw a ball around. Ultimately, the same sort of argument comes behind it, which is that we have decoupled reality from what people are experiencing. But the problem is this, that people who've paid for those leagues, who basically give their support to lives, that's where their loyalties have lied, to the different teams and the different ideas and sports and all these theatrical things. And now you're taking away their distractions, you've taken away their jobs, you've done all of these things. You're right, that Free Hong Kong tweet was lame. And the NBA is ridiculous. They are basically, they're corporately owned. They have been in the back pocket of China and the market share they've wanted there for a very, very long time. So today is not going to be a super long episode. I'll go to maybe 10 minutes, maybe not even that far, because people tell me I should do short videos. But I want to say the NBA should be careful, because it's going to destroy its own product. People do not need distractions that badly, and somewhere someone will develop something that is much better, much more watchable, and where it doesn't have all these problems where you have to deal with all these issues. God knows a family can't afford entertainment to go to these things, and absent the government paying for people to have everything. I'll tell you a story. Once upon a time, I actually had a tenant who thought it was more important to have Air Jordans than to go ahead and pay his rent on time. And I say he was an ex-tenant because once upon a time when I had property, I had situations like that. And this was the priorities. But this is what happens when you have people told they're a victim. You have protesters going out there burning things, thinking they're the heroes, and they're not heroes. They're the enemy. They're the bad guys. They're the ones who are destroying order, and they don't even know why they're doing it. They think they know, but they don't really know what motivates them. And neither do these people with all this money. So in one way, I'm happy because people are not going to waste any more time or energy on these leagues that do not deserve your support, that treat you very badly, and they abuse their fans to baby their superstars. Nonetheless, that being the case, I do realize that that's more stress on people, and what I would suggest to you is that we go ahead and we have to start paying attention and know that you cannot escape what's going out there. You can't do that. Free Kyle Rittenhouse. That's going to be a heck of a thing. I tell you what's going to happen with Kyle. I am not commenting on it for the time being, but I will say one thing, that if he has a jury of his peers, he will be found not guilty. I genuinely believe that. He may be found guilty of a lesser charge. That's possible about, the validity of him holding a gun, but on the charges of murder, there's no way that's going to stick. And there's no way it should stick, actually, given the situation. But this is what happens when people are bussed in and around the country to go ahead and lead to violent outcomes. And I'll be careful about what I say because the purges on YouTube are real, and I don't really want to have to go over to DE Live, although I probably will, and all of us will be. And this is one of the things I guess I should tell you if you don't know already. If you are out here saying things that they don't like, you will get canceled. And it's only going to become more. If you don't get the vaccine, you're going to get canceled. If you're not woke, you're going to get canceled. And ultimately, this isn't about money. This is about control, and this is the authoritarianism of the age. And if America itself needs to be broken for the cancellation to happen, it will come. And the reason you know it is because it's already happening. So please be smart, be aware, take care of yourself, take care of your families, get right with God. If you haven't, I definitely recommend that for everybody. And begin preparing for stranger days to come. So that is going to be one of the issues. And like you say, Sam, it may be the state line question, maybe what is, I'm sure it'll be a technicality, but I don't think they're going to get murder 1 or murder 2. I really don't. And that's, if he's took with those across the lines, he has to deal with those issues. Those are his issues. I am not here to comment on that, and I'm deliberately not commenting on these things because every day is going to bring a new issue like that. And to be honest with you, if it's not Kyle Rittenhouse, it'll be the next person or the next person or the next person. The next big jumping off point where it gets interesting is when people stand together and they say, we are not going to permit this. And it'll probably happen in a suburb of a left-wing run city. And the people will organize as a group and say, no, we're not going to do this. And the police say, let you arrest us. And they say, no, we're not going to do that either. And so for my law officer friends out there, you guys will have to think where you want to stand in this thing because people are going to be forced to take sides. And is that tragic? Yes. Is it entirely self-inflicted? Of course it is. My episode tomorrow on Free Atlantic Radio will go into exhaustive depth, and we're going to talk about Keith Ellison a lot, which I think you'll find interesting. And probably upsetting, to be honest. Good morning, Patches. But I think that as we go forward in this, what you have to realize is there is no stopping this. I genuinely believe, and I say this on my show in better detail tomorrow because I already recorded it, that the plan of the left is to have Trump win because they can't stop their own riots in the streets and to try to take force directly from there. And whatever it takes, it will take. So they will have help internationally. They will have pressures put on, whether it be China, whether it be releases of new versions of the virus. Because remember, this is an artificial virus that will come again. It will be the inability for things to work. And what's going to happen is violence grows in these cities. Truckers are going to go around it, food shortages. You can see how all this is a line of decay that's inevitable and that will be very difficult to escape. And it's deliberate. It's the people with the most money are funding it. Why? Because they think they can come out the other side fine, and they want to see everything that they didn't like move aside so that we can be part of one woke order. And then you get to have your basketball back, right? And if you have enough social credit scare points, you might even get to watch a game on TV. Otherwise, you'll be sitting in a hole with me reading books from the 19th century. But that's okay. The books are better anyway. Strange times. I don't know what's going to happen. I do think the government lacks the will to resolve itself, and I do think America is on the precipice of a collapse. And so, the reason I run Free Atlantic Radio is because people need to start thinking past what's going to happen. And you can think your communities will work, and that's fine. But if you have literally a third of your country perpetually rioting, you don't really have a country anymore. And America is not the sort of place that can exist just ignoring that indefinitely. Sooner or later, it will spread, and it will lead to violence. And you can see that. And it's going slow, but it's going to accelerate faster. Do I know where the next flashpoint is? No, but I have a strong suspicion it'll be around Labor Day. You know, the government did it real nasty to the people. It gave them money enough to survive for a little while, and then it took it away. It gave them money enough to survive when the businesses could go out of business and to make sure the businesses came out of business. And then it made sure that it put people in a desperate spot, people not being able to pay their rents. I give President Trump credit for trying to step into the lurch and try to fix that. Congress isn't doing it. Why aren't they doing it? They don't want to do it. Angry people are useful people. People who can be led around on their emotions and their stomach will do all sorts of awful things, and they'll be forgiven and exonerated later, and they'll purge the real radicals so they can say, well, this was too far and this was justice. The Bolsheviks always purged the Mensheviks. It's the way of the world, and that's where we're going to end up going. So, but the first sign of this is that your bread and circuses are being taken from you. Your movie theaters are gone. Your restaurants are gone. Your public meetings are gone. Now your sports are gone. They hinted at that, and until you give them what they want, and you know, the thing is, they're going to get something. I don't think it's going to be what they want, but I think that's what's going to be the outcome of it, and that's kind of, they're okay with that. Because ultimately, as long as there isn't something good that comes out of America, they don't care how broken this is. Remember, if you're going to make an omelet, you got to crack a lot of eggs. Unfortunately, we are the eggs in this scenario. So God bless each and every one of you. Have a good day. I will be back Friday evening for a long show. We'll do all your questions, get them lined up for me, and trying to get into a more reasoned order. I've just got a lot of things I have to do over here. And I do think in about 2 weeks I might be dark for a week because I'm going to be writing another book. I'm just working on some of the paperwork for it. So hopefully that will be exciting to you all. I always have deeper insights on how things are happening, and a lot of people appreciate them. Appreciate everyone who supports the show. Any help, Venmo, CVC, PRV, PO Box 35, Greenville Junction, Maine 04442. Otherwise, we will see you all on Friday. God bless. Thank you. Have a good day, Ian.